Welcome to today's Shaman Short. Great tips, inspiration, and ways to live a more authentic and shamanic life. Join Dakota Walker from Gaia Wisdom School as she treks across the globe, bringing you these bite-sized pieces of wisdom for you to deepen your path back home to your soul. And now, from somewhere in the world, here's Dakota.
Hey guys, so this is Dakota and I'm here today with your Shaman Short. I'm actually in Sedona and I'm at a peace park, and that's a stupa behind me. And if you've followed Buddhist traditions, you know what a stupa is. And but for those of you who don't know what a stupa is, this is a place where we come and offer prayers. And the stupa is filled, actually, when they construct the stupa, they have, like, I think they said over 2,000 scrolls of mantras that were written down on paper and rolled up into rolls, and then they covered them with a fine silk cloth, and then in the inside of that they put all of these prayers, and they also do like a totem that has like a thunderbolt on it. And the idea is that through the top there and through the wind and prayer flags and everything is that it radiates compassion into the world. And here in Sedona, energy is really prevalent. It is a place where there's a lot of vortexes. There's a lot of things that happen here in Sedona. This is my first time here at this peace park, and it's really, really beautiful. And so prayer is something that, you know, when you start walking kind of this shamanic path, you don't really think about prayer because we kind of associate prayer with Christian tradition or evangelical, you know, that kind of vein. But prayer is really putting that feeling and emotion and the intention into your words and creating that vibration that reverberates out into the ethers. And prayer can be in the form of, you know, praying for somebody or offering mantras or, you know, just having that conscious awareness that the words that you're speaking are going to have an effect on people and on the world and in your space. And so being able to really be conscious of just what prayers and what words you're putting out there, and taking that time, that solitude within yourself to really be to offer that from your heart. You know, they're not just words, they're not just I mean, sometimes you can say mantras, like in the Buddhist tradition they have a lot of mantras that you can recite, and each mantra has a different meaning. And you know, in the Buddhist tradition you would recite it 108 times typically, and that just kind of, you get to that place where you are creating that momentum within yourself and within that energetic field. And you know, in almost every tradition there is some form of prayer that is offered as a way, as a conduit of using that air element and that vibration and those words to make change. And this is why, you know, being mindful of the words that you put out into the world is really, it's important. And sometimes we say things without a conscious awareness of how it might affect somebody else. And we all do that, no matter where you are, who you are. There are times when, you know, the words that you put out into the world can be harmful or misleading or suggestive. And so in the shamanic world, in the shamanic path, it is about really being aware, consciously aware of how you are showing up in that way. That would be in the East element of the medicine wheel. So in the East we have sacred speech, and we also have vibration, frequency, and we also work with words, and prayer as one of the tools. If you have a hard time with that word prayer, just change it to whatever feels good to you. But sitting in prayer, sitting in silent contemplation, and whether you feel like you can bring those words to the surface and out into the world, or you are just generating that that prayer within yourself, and that affects your energetic field, is good. And right now the world needs it. The world needs to have a huge influx of good prayer and juju. So I just walked the stupa, and and it's similar to a sweat lodge in a way, which is you go into a lodge. Before you go into a lodge, you walk clockwise around the sweat lodge, and here you walk clockwise around the stupa. And in the sweat lodge, that represents that you are walking from the moment that you take your first breath throughout your life, and you come to the door of the lodge, and you enter into the womb of Mother Earth, and you come out reborn, rebirthing yourself. And in the lodge, you can do 4 rounds. I started out talking about prayer, and I'm talking about sweat lodges. In the lodge, you do 4 rounds, 1 for each direction. And the first round typically is a prayer round. We start in the east direction, and we say our prayers. And lodges are different, so some may start out with just "Who are you?" and you state who you are and why you're there, and then go into a prayer round. But prayers are always offered in sweat lodge as a way to kind of bring into your body and your awareness these things that you are working on, these things that you are praying about, these changes and shifts that you would like to see in the world, the compassion that you want to generate by your beingness. And then you go through a couple other rounds, and there's a lot of purification and deep healing that can happen in a sweat lodge through that act. But the prayers are a very important part of that ceremony. And so same with the Buddhist, walking the stupa 3 times in clockwise while you're reciting your prayer, your mantra, and really being consciously aware. And I think one of the reasons why when I work with medicine wheel, I'm working with the directions, and a lot of times it's working in east-west vein or north-south vein. Most often you're working with the entire wheel, but the east-west would be working with that physical body and purifying it, purifying the vessel, and you also purify your vessel through your vocabulary. So one of the most powerful things that I think you can do is to really sit in silent contemplation and think about what prayer you would like to generate within yourself, and whether you're praying for yourself, your family, your friends, the world, humanity, the earth, whatever it might be. And you might do this for a few different genres, prayers, but generate that feeling within yourself, and then put some really sacred text behind it, the sacred words that you would use to take that feeling of generation that you are generating within yourself and bringing it out into the world. And then find a sacred area where you can walk in contemplation, and walk with the intention of saying this prayer, this mantra, however many times you feel comfortable. But if you want to do the Buddhist tradition, recite it 108 times, and see how powerful you feel after that, and powerful in the way that you have just contributed greatly to the betterment of humanity. All right. Thanks, guys, for listening, and I will see you on the next Shaman Short. Bye.
You have just listened to the Gaia Wisdom Shaman Shorts with your host, Dakota Walker. Check the link in the show notes and join our private Facebook group and never miss another episode.